Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, and I am the host of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. If you are enjoying this show, you can also check out the Premiere Boys Podcast, hosted by myself, Aaron Keith Sands, the Star Rider Rod, and Long Live Chief Mighty Mal, where we discuss everything that's going on in the culture, from love, relationships, music, sex, politics, and many more. We can make you laugh, but the show could get a little raunchy, and it may not be for everybody. But if you are curious to listen to the Premier Boy podcast, you can tune in to the Premier Boy podcast every Wednesdays at 12 a.m. or all podcast platforms, a part of the Premier Powerverse Network. Other shows that you can check out on the Premier Powerverse Network is King Talk with Aaron Sands, hosted by Aaron King Talk Sands every Friday at 12 p.m. Star Time Podcast hosted by the Star Rider Rod every Monday at 12 p.m. And Welcome to the Trilogy hosted by Long Live the Chief Mighty Mel every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Listen and support every show in the Premier Powerverse, including this show, Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast, who is also a part of the Premier Powerverse Network. Thank you for listening to this message and check out the show. Chill! You are now listening to Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast Season 9. Chill! Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka Mr. Gentleman, one fourth of the Premier Boys Podcast, and your host of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast. And welcome to another new episode of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Hope all is well. And on this episode, we have a solo episode, and originally I had a completely different topic for this episode, but there's one message that keep popping up in my head. Keep going. So I'm going to discuss why did I name this episode Keep Going and many more. And you already know what to do. Sit back, relax, and I'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Anastasia, and you're now listening to Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. And at this time for Mr. Gentleman Facts, quote of the day. And today's quote of the day is, great thing comes to those who wait. And I say this because we all been through some things and we think our time is never coming. But you just have to remind yourself that great thing always comes to those who wait, because you were patient to wait your turn. And when your time does come, it will come 10 times more than expected. So great thing comes to those who wait. And that is today, Mr. Gentleman Facts, quote of the day. Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka Mr. Gentleman, and I am the host of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast. And this commercial break is brought to you by Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast. On Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast, we interview many guests about their life journey, pretty much where they come from and where they at now. Also promoting their brands or whatever they're doing at the time they come on the show. We also have the host talk about personal stories about himself and everything that he's been through. And also we have fun conversation about anything music, anything old school, relationships, wrestling, and many more. And y'all can tune in to Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast every Sundays at 12 a.m. We are also on every Thursdays at 12 a.m. for Spin-Off Series Thursdays, where we have all of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast spin-off series all in one day, where we have a conversation about music podcast every first Thursday at 12 a.m. the old school show with myself and the Star Riding Rod every fourth Thursday at 12 a.m. And we have Date Night Talk podcast with myself and Miss Vanna B every second and third Thursday at 12 a.m. And y'all can tune in to Mr. Gentleman Like That podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, The Pods, and many more. Or y'all can check it out on the official website of Mr. Gentleman Like That podcast, www.realmrgentlemanlikethatpodcast.com, www.realmrgentlemanlikethatpodcast.com, and tune in every Sundays and Thursdays at 12 a.m. for Mr. Gentleman Like That podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in to this commercial break of Mr. Gentleman Like That podcast. Back to your regularly scheduled program. Cheer!
Hey, this is Neek from the Redefining Wellness podcast, and you're listening to the Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. That's the time. It's time for another solo episode. And originally for this episode, I had a completely different topic in mind. But as I was working on this episode, the topic that I originally had, it just didn't fit what I was going to say. So as I sat back, I was editing the Coral episode. Shout out to Coral for visiting Vegas places. And it was something that he said on the episode that really had me thinking. He said the two words, keep going. And when he said the word, he mentioned about he was inspired by me being consistent of doing my podcast episodes. And that message really stuck with me when he said that. After that, on social media, I keep seeing the word keep going from people posts, from videos that being posted, even from me posting it like multiple times this month. And that's what today's episode is about, is keep going. And I know I does say this a lot on my Mr. Gentleman Fact Quote of the Day, but the thing about keep going is really self-explanatory. If it's something that you really want to do in life and you have a vision to do it, you have to keep going because you never know where that can take you. And some people who listen to too much negative influences and they stop what they're doing because they listen to too many people and they never see the full product through. And some people who started something along the line and they got scared because they didn't never see how big their vision can become. And they end up settling for something less, knowing they could do more than what they realized they could do. And honestly, once you give up on something, you already quit. But if you keep going and fight for what you believe in, for something that you love, you just never know how big your influence can take you. You never know how something that you started could change not only your life, but somebody else's life as well. And I'm not gonna lie, at one point, I was at a place where I was working at a job for 10 years. And first 5 years at that job, I was cool with it, but I wanted to grow more. But as time went on, and as the job, they didn't see me as something they could grow with. I just ended up, just wasn't happy where I was at. And at that time, I didn't know what my purpose was. At that time, I would feel like I was just selling, cruising, and I just wasn't happy. And so one day, something opened my eyes and realized what my purpose was. And I wanted to create something that made me. During the time, I was also promoting during that time as well. And everybody on my team was doing something. Like something outside of promoting. Some people doing DJing, some people were creating companies. And I was through figuring out what was my next move. I already had the name Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle in my head, but I didn't wasn't sure what I was using that name for. And at time when I had to try to figure out what was I'm going to do, what legacy was I going to create for myself. And because honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do at that time. This was 2018. And I didn't really want to do something. And then one day, the podcast idea came along, and we would start to do it with the team, but that didn't work out. But then somebody I knew started a podcast later, and it sparked the idea again for me to start something. But honestly, when that idea happened, I never thought I wanted to do it by myself. But then the idea, as time went on, the idea started to get more intriguing, and I wanted to start it. Of course, I pushed the idea back multiple times from September 2018, October 2018, November 2018, December 2018. I decided to finally name it the Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast, but I didn't have no podcast show. Early January 2019, and then on January 20th, the podcast started. When I started the podcast, I didn't think something was going to happen to it. The only vision that I had for the podcast during that time was start a platform for people I know to have a platform to share what they are doing at the moment. Because they was not given a chance elsewhere. And that was my vision for it. I didn't think nothing big was going to happen with that. But as people heard the first episode, people enjoyed it. People said I had a radio voice. And I just kept going after that. And as time went on, people started coming to the show, and people really enjoyed it. As time went on, people started getting deeper on the show. And I didn't think people wanted to get deep, get personal. But as the more somebody got deep, the more the show grew even more. But I felt like I was still holding back of sharing my story. And when I decided to share my story, that when the show really took off. And what I thought, starting the show in January 20th, 2019, that it would be as big as it is today, I didn't think so. I didn't think in the year 2025, the show going to be at 251 episodes. The show going to have 81 guests. The show going to have more than 30,000 K downloads. The show will be played on over 107 countries. I did not think that this show was going to be big as it is today, and it's still growing now. And the reason why it's as big as it is today because I kept going, because I seen something that I really wanted to do, and I did not stop. And when you believe in something and you know that something could grow, you just have to go out there, get out of your comfort zone, and just keep going. Because you just never know where your vision can take you. You never know who you are helping. You never know who you will meet down the line. You never know who is listening. You could have a few downloads and your following may not be big. Out of those few downloads, you're helping probably one person out of those few downloads. That should mean more than your numbers. And that was one thing that happened, I saw something. I wanted to create a legacy for myself, and I just kept going. Even to this day, the show, MrGentleman, like that podcast, still growing because I did not quit and I kept going. Especially this was a big deal for me because growing up as a kid, I was picked on a lot, being bullied because of my speech, because I stutter a lot. I had speech impediment. I was picked on because people called me many names from being stupid, dumb, many other things. And going through that and sharing that now and people, being relatable to it and people be inspired by that, it means a lot. And that's why, I started the show because I wanted to help somebody share their story while I get to share my story. And yeah, like if it's something that you always want to do, the dream that you always dreamed of, the career that you always want, and the lifestyle that you deserve, you just have to go out there, get out of your comfort zone, focus on the vision that you want to bring out, and keep going because you just never know where this would take you. Because if you stop now, you would never know how far you will go. And even with the negative press, even with the negative reaction, even with people telling you you can't do it, sometimes you just have to ignore those people because only a person's opinion that matters is yours. Because at the end of the day, the only competition in life is yourself. And you have to be better than you was yesterday. So I want to leave you with, if it's something that you always want to do, something that you love to do, you just have to keep going because you just never know where it could take you. There's many people out there who just doing something not because they love it, it's because that they have to do it. And I feel like we all going through that right now. I feel like we all should be doing something that we love to do and something that we was meant to do, something that we were brought here to do for a purpose. So yeah, if it's something that you really want to do, just go out there and do it and keep going because the road is not easy and you're gonna have many challenges along the way. So just keep going. You just never know what your impact, what your vision will take you. And I'll be right back. Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman. Now, I am the host of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast, and this commercial break is brought to you by MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast presents Spinoff Series Thursdays. And Spinoff Series Thursday is the new home for MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast Spinoff Series that brought to you shows like A Conversation About Music Podcast, The Old School Show, and Date Night Talk Podcast. And A Conversation About Music Podcast is a music spin-off series where we talk about anything music, from the current music scene and the old school music scene, where we interview many guests that's in the music industry and artists about their music journey. We have a segment game called The Face Off, which is a versus inspired game. And we have roundtable discussion about variety of music topics. And y'all can check out A Conversation About Music Podcast every first Thursday at 12 a.m. Every first Thursday at 12 a.m. Now, the Old School Show that featured myself and the star Roddy Rod is a show where we discuss anything old school, from music, TV shows, movies, and many more. We also bring in guests to join in on the old school conversation. Y'all can check out the Old School Show with myself and the star Roddy Rod every fourth Thursday at 12 a.m. Every fourth Thursday at 12 a.m. And last but not least, we have Date Night Talk Podcast with myself and Miss Vanna B, where we talk about anything relationship related topics like love, dating, relationships, cheating, the good and the bad, and many more. And y'all can check out this spin-off series, Date Night Talk Podcast, every second and third Thursday at 12 p.m. So look out for MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast presents Spin-Up Series Thursday, A Conversation About Music Podcast every first Thursdays. The Old School Show with myself and the star Roddy Rod every fourth Thursdays, and Date Night Talk Podcast with myself and Miss Vanna B every second and third Thursdays. And y'all can check out MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast every Sundays for the main series and every Thursday for spin-off series Thursdays. And thank y'all for checking out this commercial break. And now back to your regularly scheduled program. I just want to take the time to thank everybody for tuning into the latest episode of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Thank you for listening to the solo episode of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Hopefully you were inspired by this episode. And you already know where I'm at every Sunday for the main series and every Thursday for spin-off series Thursdays, where we have shows like a conversation about music podcast every first Thursday at 12 p.m. Date Night Talk podcast with myself and Ms. Vanna B every third Thursday at 12 p.m. and the Old School Show with myself and the Star Ride and Ride every fourth Thursday at 12 p.m. And look out for our newest spin-off series Thursday show, the Top 20 Countdown Show, the series with myself and Ms. Jalen, starting on September 11th every second Thursday at 12 p.m. Listen and check out all the shows, a part of the spin-off series Thursday lineup, part of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast Network. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and many more. Y'all can rate the show 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podchases. The more y'all rate the show, more people know about MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. You can check us out on YouTube at Ken, aka MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. You can listen to all the audio version of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. You can watch the visual version of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast called MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast TV. You can check out all of MrGentleman Facts Quote of the Day. And I know you have not seen no MrGentleman Facts Quote of the Day only because I am suspended from my TikTok channel and I'm working to get that fixed. So once that is fixed, I will bring y'all more MrGentleman Facts Quote of the Day. And continue to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Ken, aka MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. If you want to be a guest on MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast for the main series for season 9 and season 10 and all other spin-off series Thursday show, send me a bio about yourself and everything that you do to my email at kenypgent@gmail.com or hit me up on social media. Ken_MrGentleman. I repeat, Ken, Ken _MrGentleman, GentleMan. And we can set something up. I still look for guests for season 9 and season 10 of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast and all of the spin-off series Thursday shows. You can also check me out on the Premiere Boys Podcast with myself, Aaron Kitoxan, Star Rider Rod, and Long Live the Chief Mighty Mouth. New season of the Premiere Boys Podcast coming real soon, and every Wednesday at 12 a.m. a part of the Premiere Powerverse Network. Other shows are part of the Premiere Powerverse Network. King Talk with Aaron Sands, hosted by Aaron King Talk Sands. You can check out all episodes right now. And look out for his newest show, After Hours with Aaron Sands, coming real soon. You can check out Star Time Podcast, hosted by the Star Rider Rod. You can check out all episodes on all podcast platforms right now. And look out for the newest episode of Welcome to the Trilogy, hosted by Long Live the Chief Mighty Mal. New episode coming real soon. Listen and support every show in the Premiere Powerverse Network. At this time, it's time for everybody's favorite segment. It's time for MrGentleman Lifestyle Shout Out, where we shout out 4 of the 5 shows and we give them their flowers. Last week, we gave you 5 shows last week. Flataway Talk with Tim, Visit Vegas Places with Coral, Better Call Daddy Podcast, the Geeky Dad Podcast, and Pedal of Support Podcast. Check out the 5 shows that I mentioned last week on MrGentleman Lifestyle Shout Outs. And we have 5 new shows to bring to you today. And the first show that we're going to talk about is Beer in Front Podcast, hosted by Dave. And this show is about a regular Chicago beer guy with a podcast about some old school beers and some new classics. Sometimes the beer in front of you is the best beer yet. And this is a really good show, and I love the knowledge about all types of beers. And I learned a lot. I'm not a beer person, but this show taught me a lot. So check out Beer in the Front Podcast, hosted by Dave. Really good show. Support him. The next show we're going to talk about is Kathy Vibe podcast hosted by Shantanique. Podcast that take you on a captivating journey through the diversity of world of music, film, and human experiences. Also, she have a spin-off show called Nicki Minaj Corner where she discusses everything about Nicki Minaj because she's a big fan, and I enjoy the show. Check out Kathy Vibe podcast. The next show we're going to talk about is 12-3 Talk Back, hosted by Victoria J. And 12-3 Talk Back is a daily show that features interviews with inspiring people from all walks of life. She also had Bible study, and she talked about personal experience about her life. And I really enjoyed the show. And was a guest on her show a very long time ago. And this is a very good show. If you need something, a dose of motivation, a new perspective of life, and a good laugh, check out 12-3 Talk Back. And also shout out to her. She just had a birthday recently. So happy birthday to Victoria J. Check out 12th Talk Back as a good birthday gift. The next show we're going to talk about is Lullaby, the Fear Podcast, hosted by Ashley Leonard. And on this show, embark on a captivating experiences into the history and dark mind of the world's most dangerous criminals and cases. And this is a true crime show. And funny thing is, I'm not a big true crime show, but for some reason, every time I look to this show, it always get me hooked. I love that she really does her research while doing these shows, and she's doing an amazing thing. She is a 3-time Canadian Podcast Award winner. One for Outstanding True Crime, one for People Choice, and one for Production of the Series. And she is one person that I do want on my show in the future. So shout out to Lullaby the Fear Podcast. And listen to her show. You will learn a lot. She does really work hard work, researching and doing the show. So yeah, so check out Lullaby the Fear Podcast. And the last show we're gonna talk about is The American Dreams in the Eyes of Immigrants, hosted by Haley De La Cruz. And The American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants is a 2-time award-winning podcast show about sharing stories of immigrants and the immigrant experiences, including their first memory of the U.S., the culture shock they experienced, and their journey learning to navigate a new life in the country. And I do enjoy this show, and I enjoyed that, she really dive in her guests about them becoming an immigrant and everything like that. And I love that she really does real great work doing this, and her show is really great. And she also was a guest who's been on my show last season. And also congrats to her to being a 2-time podcast award-winning show. And yeah, check out The American Dreams and the Other Immigrants. And check out the 5 shows that I just mentioned. Be at the Front Podcast, 12-3 Talk Back, Kathy Vibes, Lullaby, The Fear Podcast, and The American Dreams and the Eyes of Immigrants. And that is this week with the Gentleman Lifestyle Shoutouts. Chill! And add me on Good Podcast, Ken, with the Gentleman. Y'all already know Good Podcast and many independent podcasts that you see where everybody listens to. We can rate each other's shows, and we have the charts. And that's the time. The time for Mr. Gentleman like the achievements, where we spotlight everything with the Gentleman like the podcast they're doing. And of course, we got the Good Pod charts. And for top 100 shows, we are number 10 on the normal charts and number 4 on the indie charts. For society and culture, we are number 2 on the normal charts, and we are still number 1 on the indie chart. We've been number 1 for 2 days now. And for personal journal, we are still number 1 for normal and indie chart. And we've been number 1 for 10 days. So shout out to everybody who listened to the Gentleman like that podcast on Good Pod. And thank you to everybody who's been listening to the Gentleman like that podcast on all podcast platforms. Really means a lot. And thank you for continuing to ride me on this journey. Really means a lot. And of course, check out the official website of Mr. Gentleman like that podcast, www.realmrgentlemanlikethatpodcast.com. You can listen to all episodes of Mr. Gentleman like that podcast, all 252 episodes of Mr. Gentleman like that podcast. You can write all the videos of Mr. Gentleman like that podcast. You can check out every guest who's been on Mr. Gentleman like that podcast, all 81 guests and many more to come. You can check out every guest appearance that I've been on. More guest appearances coming real soon. And of course, check out the official merch store of Mr. Gentleman like that podcast, www.mrgentlemanlikethatpodcaststore.com, where we have shirts, hoodies, mugs, hats, and many more. check out the merch store so we upgrade your listening experiences. So check out the official merch store of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast. www.MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast Store.dasher.com. And check out the official website of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast. www.MrGentlemanLifestylePodcast.com. And thank you everybody who tuned into the latest episode of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast. And thank you for always showing love. It really means a lot. On the next episode of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast, we have a special guest. He is an author. He is a poet. And we're going to talk about his book, My First 17. And we got Jeffrey Charles Fleeman on the show. And we're going to talk to him about many things and many more. Once again, thank you for tuning into the latest episode of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Have a good day or night while you're listening to this episode.
This is Graham,
Sarah,
And Michaela.
from the Chime In Podcast.
and you're listening to
Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast.